you guys? Okay, I think we're good. So find a decent seat. Whether this is a cross-legged one, you can see that I'm sitting on my bolster, or maybe you straddle your bolster, or you sit with your legs out in front. Doesn't matter. Please find a comfortable position that works well for you. And then what I'd like you to do is you're going to make almost a cup shape with your hands. They can be one on top of the other, or they can be apart. So fingertips kind of almost touching or indeed touching. So it's up to you. You can be a little bit more in the center with this kind of cupping bowl action, or a little bit more spread apart. Really check in with your shoulders, because they will determine where your comfort levels are and where you want to put your hands. So the elbows are a little bit bent, depending upon your arm length. And this cup shape here is something I want you to put your mind's eye into. So let the eyelids close if you're happy to do that. Or you can gaze downwards. You can gaze down towards the cup of your hands, or you can just gaze at the floor in front of you. And this cup represents your dantian. Okay, the dantian are the burning spaces that we refer to in Chinese medicine. If you imagine that your body, your torso particularly, is like a old-fashioned steam engine, okay? And this steam engine at the bottom has the fuel, so maybe the coal, if we're thinking traditional. And then in the middle, there's the pot with the water, and that's getting hot because the fire that's at the lower dantian is burning brightly, and the heat is causing the water to boil. And so then the upper dantian is the steam. Okay, so the lower dantian is the fuel, the middle dantian is the water, or the thing you want transforming. So it could be your food, it doesn't have to be your drink necessarily. And then above it is the steam, which represents energy or chi. Okay, they're all energy, they're all different forms of energy in different states, but they have these three distinct zones. So the lower, the middle, and the upper dantian, okay? And your hands are holding this lower dantian space. So close your eyes and put your mind's eye into that burning space that is happening all of the time. And I'd like you to imagine a warmth in your hands. You can imagine a glowing light, maybe a warm red, orange kind of color. And I want you to imagine that you're holding this little pot of energy. And when you breathe, you are filling that pot with more energy. Okay, you're filling your pot. Because this is what we want these practices to do. We want these practices to cultivate more energy within your body, okay? More chi. So the lower dantian is where your hands are, you're holding it, and you're imagining this red or warm orange light there that is generating chi and is being fueled by your breath. So just spend a few moments with that. So the lower dantian is the fire that is keeping you warm and is generating change in your body. And then I said in the middle, you've got the next dantian, which is the middle burning space, which is the represented by the pot of water that's boiling. And the picture, just to give you a little background description, the character for qi in the Chinese, in Mandarin, or the traditional kind of Chinese language, is actually a pot of water with a grain of rice in it. And that's what chi is. Chi is this potential, basically. So the pot of water is over a flame and it's burning. So this is exactly the same as what I've described. Chi is the grain of rice, which has the potential to either grow into the flour or to become food and energy that way. So, nevertheless, in the center of your body, that's represented by this pot of water that's boiling. And I want you now to take your hands to the center of your tummy. And this is where we thought about on Tuesday. And we thought about the center of your body, your solar plexus. And we're kind of slipping a little bit into Indian philosophy and sort of keeping hold of a little bit of the Chinese stuff, but slipping into the chakra system. Chakras are very much Indian philosophy of energy. But here at the center of your being is Manipura chakra, which is represented by the color yellow. So down below we had orange and red. Now we're moving higher up. We've got the color yellow. And now what I'd like you to do is you can make the same cupping shape with your hands, either one on top of the other or just like a little bowl with the fingertips near each other. It's up to you. And in that, in the palm of your hands, I want you to imagine that there is a beautiful yellow flower sitting. And that beautiful yellow flower, as you breathe in, is expanding and the petals are uncurling. And then as you breathe out, the petals are gently closing. So you're going to breathe in and you're going to breathe out. The petals expand of your flower as you breathe in. And the petals gently close as you breathe out, as again, you're creating a sense that you are filling up your battery pack. You are restoring power, stoking the fires, filling up the dantians with the different forms of qi. Take one or two more breaths like this. And then we're going to move to the final stage of this meditation, where you now bring the palms of your hands together in front of your heart space or slightly higher up. And then this time it's like you're a funnel. You're gently going to inhale. And as you inhale, the hands lift and the palms open into like a flower, like a lotus flower, like this, if you want to look at your screen. And the hands are going to rise up. And then as you breathe out, you're gently bringing the palms back down to the heart center. And this is you again. You're going to breathe in and the hands open. And you're breathing out and the palms are sinking back down. And you're going to go a few times with this, breathing in and going entirely at your own pace before breathing out and the palms closing. And this is you letting the steam out, because there can't be too much steam in the process. Some of it has to be vented. So you're just gently venting the unwanted, the unnecessary steam that has been generated in your engine. And then you're closing back down again to make sure that you don't release too much. And this will be for one or two more breaths, please. Okay. And then when you're finished, You're going to gently finish the exhalation that you're on. Let the hands drop down towards the lower dantian with the fingers pointing downwards. And then as you inhale, the hands are going to open wide and all of the way up above your head before you exhale and bring the hands down through the center line. And you're going to do that twice more, so a total of 3 times. Big inhales. Slow exhale. And one more time, breathing in. Breathing out. And then letting the hands rest into your lap. And just pausing for a couple of breaths, maybe with your eyes closed. Okay. Last breath. Lovely. So now we're going to come into our first more yin-like pose. And what we're going to do is we're bringing the front of the body onto the floor. So this is the yin side of the body, and the ground is the yin surface. The yang is the heavens, the sky, and yin is the earth. And we're coming into a pose that some people call crocodile, and I've always called closed wing. Now you can do this with one arm or you can do it with both arms. I'll show you what it looks like sitting so that when you come to lie down on the floor, you can make your arrangements as necessary. So both arms is where you cross the arms over the front of your body like this, but you're laying on your front. You might need something underneath your forehead like a cushion or a block. Okay. Now, if 2 arms going to opposite sides is too tricky, then you just do one arm. The other arm can be alongside your ear like this, or it can be down by your side. So I'll show you what it looks like on the ground. So this is your one arm version. The arm just comes out to the opposite side. The other arm can then become your pillow, or it can be down by your sides or whatever. And what you're looking for is a stretch down the back of the shoulder and the back of the arm, okay? And then 2 arms looks a bit like this, but like I said, you might need something for your head to be, your forehead to be supported, okay? So if you're doing 2 arms, after the time check, you're going to swap which arm goes in front of the other, but you're staying essentially in the pose. Whereas if you're just doing one arm, then at the time check, you're going to swap so that your other arm gets the stretch. Okay. So be very gentle and mindful of your shoulders. You're going to spend 2 minutes on each side. Okay. I'm going to put my timer on now. So 2 minutes doesn't sound like very long, but for the shoulders and for this particular position, I think it's long enough. And if it gets too much and you really don't find this comfortable, then just bring your forearms under your forehead and just rest with your front body laying on the floor. So you've got about 1 minute left on this side. Then I want you to think about where your solar plexus is, where your Manipura, where the middle dantian lies. And I want you to see, as you rest onto the front of your body, can you feel the pulse or the beat that happens here? Can you feel the pulse moving your blood? If you've eaten fairly recently, this pulse is generally a little bit easier to find because the food is being digested in your stomach and there's a lot of blood in this area of the body whenever that occurs. And so, with that increased blood flow in the region, it often means that the pulse is a little bit easier to feel. But don't worry if you can't feel it. It just might mean that your pulse is lying a little bit deeper within your body. And that's quite often the case too. When I feel these pulses in my client or on my clients' tummies, sometimes they're right there at the surface. You can almost see it through their skin. And other times they're not there to be found at all. So that's enough time on the first side. Can you please swap your arms? So either bring the other arm in front or change arms completely. That's great. I'm just watching you on the iPad. And obviously use some extra props if you need to. Even put a blanket underneath the front of the hips if that helps the front body to feel a little bit easier. And for this final minute, let your belly soften as much as you can and allow these last few breaths here to move into the back of your body. So you can feel the breath inflating, expanding your back body and gently softening as you breathe out. So last breath. And then I invite you to leave this pose and come up to sit again. Okay, come up into some kind of seat because your shoulders, it's sometimes quite nice to just to move your shoulders around, just to open the chest again if you feel that the chest has got a little squished. So just creating a little bit of space on the front body or rolling your shoulders back a few times if you feel that's going to bring you some benefit. Okay. And then we'll skip towards our next pose. And for the next pose, can you get yourself your blanket and kind of fold it up into a sort of rectangle shape, maybe? It could be a sort of narrower rectangle, because in a minute, I'll show you what we're going to do with it. You're going to be in a child's pose with the blanket wedged into the crease of your hips like this. But we're going to get to that bit in a minute. If this is not comfortable being on your knees, then always your alternative, same pose, but laying on your back and bringing your knees in towards you. And I'm not very good with wearing these headphones. I like them, but they don't seem to like me very much. They don't stay in my ears. Anyway, so coming up into it's basically child's pose that we're working into next. But before we get into child's pose, put your blanket to one side for the moment. Sit in an upright position. Take your hands to your tummy. And then it's going to maybe look weird, but I want you to massage in a circular fashion and clockwise. Okay, so clockwise circles. Now, clockwise is the natural directional movement of your digestive system. And remember that this fire that we're stoking is the burning space at the bottom, is the fuel that is ignited and is burning or transforming the food that you've probably eaten recently. And so you can support your digestive system to make good energy by massaging in this clockwise direction. I hope it looks like clockwise. It might look like anti-clockwise, but it doesn't matter. I'm going clockwise in my world. Okay. Then, because we're focusing a little bit on this area of the body, and we want to keep this whole area feeling very nourished, very warm, because then we make good energy from our food, from the drink that we're drinking, the food that we're eating. So whilst I have said to you that you can use your blanket and wedge it into the gap of your hips, you can also do this pose with soft fists, and you could put your fists here and you're just making a little bit of space as you come forwards and down. Now, this is very optional. You don't have to do this. It probably isn't the most comfortable or the most restful of positions. So therefore, to make it a little bit restful, a little bit more accessible, you can wedge the blanket here, and then when you come down, you can make fists or you can stack your palms, and you're just creating a slightly different sensation on the front of your body. As always, if you try both of those suggestions, the fists or the blanket, and you think, nah, that's not for me, ditch it and just take your normal child's pose with your bolster instead. So remember, this is always a suggestive practice in terms of you need to make it work for your body. If something that you're doing doesn't feel right, if you know that you can't sustain it for the time that I'm suggesting, then just come into something that is more suitable for yourself. Now let your breath move gently into the abdomen. Even though you're in this position, that means the breath might feel a little restrained, a little more awkward. And find the breath. We're using our intention to restore and to fill up our energy cup. Because as I was saying to you on Tuesday, we want this practice to nourish us. We like the cleansing elements of yoga because Where yoga moves our body, we help to get rid of waste and toxins and move things through. But we don't want to deplete ourselves. So our practice should never be such that we feel completely wiped out after it. And if that's the case, then we need to modify what we're doing and take it a little bit more easily. However, when we clear out the toxins and we make space in the body, we want to fill that body with energy, with whether you call it prana or chi, it doesn't matter, it's all the same. And we're trying to build chi in our body because that's what makes us strong and resilient. Chi is lost so easily if we don't work to contain it. We want to contain it so that we're not empty or depleted, especially when life throws curved balls at us and means that we are, we're challenged with maybe less sleep, or, we have a period of time when we don't eat as nourishingly as we could do, etc. All right, so you're going to take another couple of breaths as you are. And if it's comfortable for you, please come rest onto the front of your body so your legs can straighten out. If that's not comfortable, lay on your back instead, please. And offer yourself some time to be in another form of stillness, this time without intention, this time just with observation. Okay, so taking one more breath. And then our next pose is nice and straightforward because you're going to come up into Sphinx. So it's a simple propping up onto your forearms. And of course, if you wish, you could use your bolster. So your bolster could go underneath sort of more the armpit so that your elbows are still on the floor. You're not then resting any weight through your arms. So if you need less, if your arms are not quite feeling it and you don't want to take your body weight into your forearms, then this is your option. Or you could use your bolster to get more height if you feel tonight you want a little bit more of a curve through your lower back. So feel free to play. You don't have to use props. You can just have your elbows on the ground like we would do classically. But what I want you to do is just find a space where you can settle. And it might mean that you play with where your feet are. So sometimes having your feet more open, further away from one another can be helpful. Doesn't have to be that your legs are straight down the mat. They can be off. Your feet can be out wide to the sides. However, once you get here and you settle, timer's going to go on. I want you to let your tummy either hang towards the floor or rest softly against the ground. And just breathe down into your belly again. Let the belly be soft, expansive. And keep asking that whole region of your body to relax. Allow gravity to pull you towards the earth without meeting too much resistance in this shape. Notice as we approach the end of this pose, notice the sensation of heaviness. Feel how you sunk closer towards the ground during the space of time that we've spent here. And then for the last couple of breaths, I invite you to drop your chin towards your chest and let your head hang. Take one more breath. And then you can release and come to lay on your front again if you like. And totally relax down towards the ground. Totally relax the shoulders. Feel how the lower back softens. So taking one more breath. And then as you take a look at the screen, you can roll over onto the back of your body. And we'll talk about the next pose is two poses, one after the other, and you're going to be in each one for about a minute, so quite quick if you like. You can use a block or your bolster. I'll use my bolster because that's what I've got nearest to hand, but if you feel that your bolster is too high, then put something lower down underneath you. Okay, so this would be essentially your start position. Pose number one is just hugging the knee in towards the chest. So I'm suggesting that you do your right knee first of all, and you're pulling the knee in towards you just to a comfortable distance, a comfortable space. But you do want to try to find a little bit of pressure, because what we're doing here is we're working on the digestive system again. So this is your ascending colon side of your abdomen, the right hand side, and it's also the liver. So you could suggest that you're just giving them a little bit of a squeeze as you pause here. We'll stay here for about 1 minute. Now, what's nice is the contrast. If you keep directing your breath into your belly, you have the contrast of the right hand side, which feels restricted, and the left, which feels more open. So keep your awareness there. Take the last breath. And then we're simply doing a little adjustment here. So instead of having the knee squeezed in towards the rib cage or towards the tummy, you're opening the knee out a little bit towards the side. And maybe this time you're holding onto your foot, so you're in a half saddle pose. So now we go to more of a hip sensation, back into arms, because the arm is working to pull the leg down. But now the belly is a bit more free, so you can enjoy a little bit more spaciousness on the front of your body. And again, we'll stay here for 1 minute. So taking one last breath. And then it's simply swapping sides before we take a break between, take a rebound. So left knee, hugging the shin if possible, and bringing the knee. And having a little bit of a squeeze now, the descending colon and the spleen side of your abdomen. Now, bearing in mind that we're not here for long, relax your foot, your toes, and feel the hips softening. Feel the pelvis opening to allow this space to increase. All right, so now you're transitioning into your half saddle, knee out wide, remember, so that there's less restriction on the belly. Okay. And then last breath before you gently release. And if you used your bolster, then carefully roll it out from underneath you and let maybe it catch the back of your knees. And as ever, just noticing whatever there is to notice. Sensations of cold or coolness, like water moving through various regions of your body. The sensation of your back softening into the ground. The sensation of heaviness. Now, you might think that this is lovely and you'd quite like to stay here for the remainder of our practice. We've got about 7 or 8 minutes left of the class. So you could treat this as Shavasana. Remember, Shavasana is the ultimate of the yin poses. So why not? Or an alternative, if you want to take one, is to come into a lying twist, just to kind of finish off, maybe complete the practice. It is entirely up to you. I'm always curious as to what you go for. There's no judgment. You can do whatever you like, because remember, this is your practice. It isn't my practice. Now, if you've come into a twist, I invite you to open your arms out and create a little bit of space across your upper body. And it could be a 2-knee twist, it could be a single knee twist. Please feel your way into whatever your body needs. Just like we took the right knee into the chest first of all, it's always sort of traditional to take the knees over to the left, which I can see that you've done actually mostly. Take the knees over to the left first of all, so that you open the right side of the body up, and then which follows the path of your digestive system. So that's why we tend to do things on the right hand side first in our yoga practices in general. Okay, if you're lying in the twist, come on to the other side, please. Breathe into the left side. Breathe into the space. Breathe in and create space for your chi to move freely, and for your body to feel restored and replenished. And then taking your last breath, if you're in the twist, and coming back to the center, and just settling into a gentle, easy position. Maybe ensuring that you're warm enough. And then to bring our practice to its close tonight, I'm sort of kneeling up closer towards you because I invite you to take this mudra. So this is your thumb and index finger touching. This is called Yoni mudra. And you're going to place that, if you want, over your tummy. And it can be low down or it can be higher up. It's entirely up to you whereabouts you put it, wherever feels comfortable. Yoni mudra is a mudra that is very powerful for women to use. It's said to represent the womb-like shape. But for us, we're focusing tonight on this center, this Dantian, and the energy that resides within the pit of our belly, this area that you're holding right now. The color, again, is yellow. That's often associated. So you might want to imagine a beautiful yellow flower sitting in your navel. Soften your belly. There's no need to keep holding or contracting this area now. And as you continue to breathe and you continue to exhale, feel the layers of tension dissolve. Let your breath softly fan the heat within to keep the embers of your life gently burning. And as you breathe into your powerhouse, feel any struggles drop away. Breathe to release any overproducing. Breathe to release keeping up. Breathe beyond the skin and the bones and the identity that you give yourself. Relax into your completeness for these last few breaths. You're going to take one or two last breaths here. And then I'd like you to let any visualization, let your hands release by your sides. And take a big, long stretch out any way that feels good for you. And when you're ready, gently make your way around and up into an easy seat, please. Welcome back. The lights go back on. Let's finish this evening's practice together. So fingertips by your sides, please. On your next inhalation, gently raising the hands up, letting the palms find each other before slowly drifting the hands down to complete the practice, to contain the energy within us, and to bring the practice to its close. Thank you so much for coming to join me. Namaste. I need to get like little holders that make the headphones stay in my ears.